The Class 107 diesel multiple unit was one of the first generation, DMUs introduced under British Railways modernisation plan, entering service with the Scottish region in 1960. The unit started as 3-car units with an unpowered trailer car between a driving motor brake and a driving motor composite lavatory, but the Keith and Dufftowns Railway only has the driving motors. This set is in poor condition, but the intention is to restore the driving composite and pair with the line's refurbished Class 108 driving trailer, the Dram Tram. The fate of the driving brake is not yet decided. The units are similar to the earlier Class 108s but are of heavier construction, having all steel bodywork rather than aluminium, the driving motor cars being roughly 35 tons, 5 tons heavier than a 108. The individual cars are 58 feet 1 inch or 17.7 meters long, 9 feet 3 inches or 2.82 meters wide and 12 feet 4.5 inches or 3.77 meters high. This gave space to seat 52 in the driving motor brake and 65 in the driving motor. On the front of the unit are the head code, destination board and marker lights, which can show white or red depending on direction of travel. On the buffer beam are the 2 multiple control jumpers, and on the opposite side the corresponding receptacle. Multiple operation is of the blue square type, allowing connection to most of the other first-generation DMUs. Either side of the screw coupling are the vacuum pipes and the air control pipe. Each driving motor has 2 horizontally mounted engines. Number 1, on the opposite side, powers the inner axle of the front bogie. Number 2 engine, shown here, powers the inner axle of the rear bogie. The engines are naturally aspirated, 6-cylinder units displacing 11.3 litres, and were manufactured by British United Traction, a collaboration between AEC and Leyland. Each engine produces 150 horsepower from 1,100 to 1,800 revolutions per minute. The engines are water-cooled with individual radiators. The 107 sets have 4 engines, giving a combined output of 600 horsepower, allowing a top speed of 70 miles per hour. The gearbox is linked to the engine via a fluid flywheel and a drive shaft with a freewheel device, and has power outputs for the vacuum exhauster and the alternator. The gearbox is a 4-speed epicyclic type, with each gear selected by the driver manually via pneumatic actuator. Power is transmitted from the gearbox by a cardan shaft to the final drive, which is mounted on the bogie. Vacuum brakes are fitted, the vacuum created by the exhauster on the gearbox. The brake cylinders are in the bogies and operate clasp brakes on each wheel. The bogies have a wheelbase of 8 feet 6 inches. Suspension is by coil springs on the support bolster and leaf springs on the axle. Despite dual springing, the units were noted for having a poor ride at higher speeds. This pipe is why you do not use the toilet while the train is standing in the station. The units are coupled together using the same equipment as on the front, with a gangway suspended above to allow movement within the set. Either side of the gangway are the exhausts, one for each engine. Train heating is by a diesel-fired heater, manufactured by Smiths. Warm air from the heater is distributed throughout the vehicle by internal, floor-level ducts. The units have a 24-volt electrical system charged by either a dynamo or an alternator driven by a belt off the gearbox. Alternators took power from the input side of the box, meaning that they provided power as long as the engine was running. The earlier dynamos were on the output, and would only provide charge when the train was moving. The batteries are housed in boxes adjacent to the fuel tank. Built by British Rail in Derby, the units were delivered in lined green livery and over their 3 decades of service carried several liveries including variations of blue-grey, some with Greater Glasgow and Trans-Clyde branding. The final livery applied was Strathclyde Partnership for Transport Orange, confusingly officially called Strathclyde Red. The 107s served their entire working life in central Scotland, until withdrawal in the early 90s. Now for a look inside. The driving cabs are full width and entered either through the external cab doors, or via a sliding door from the passenger saloon. The cab doors are the only doors on the train equipped with steps. The driver sits on the left of the cab. Mounted to their left is the engine warning panel, with warning test, start and stop buttons mounted below. The left lever is the power controller and driver safety device. The gauges to the front are, from left to right, speedometer, tachometer with shift indicators, duplex vacuum gauge and control air pressure gauge. The lever on the right is the gear selector, with the AWS reset button in the middle. To the right of these are the AWS indicator and vacuum brake control, with the handle removed. Behind these are the handbrake wheel and second man's controls. From here you can get a good idea of the driver's view when operating one of these units. The units had 2+3 seating and 2+2 seating in first class, which was located in the other power car and latterly downgraded to second class. I hope you found this brief look round the Keith and Dufftowns Railways Class 107 interesting. Hopefully the driving motor will be restored and running in the not too distant future and updates on progress will be posted here. Thanks for watching.